right, we are back with another show of It's That Easy. And this time, we're still talking college basketball. So if you're watching, make sure to like and subscribe to the video. That'd be really, really great. Greatly appreciate it. But you know what? Let's just get into it. If you watch college basketball this weekend, man, you saw some really good teams play. I feel like we're getting to the point where we're starting to figure out who are going to be the top teams as we come into these conference tournaments, and then who are going to be the top seeds as we go into March Madness, and then make our way through the Final Four. So it's going to be really exciting. So let's go over some of the ones that we looked at last week for this past weekend. First one, Michigan State was hosting Michigan. Man, I don't know why. I mean, they have similar records. I saw Michigan State play. They actually beat Nebraska at home, giving Nebraska their first loss. I thought, you know what? They're going to take care of Michigan. Or at least, it was a 1.5 point spread. So, yeah, they would have had to win the game pretty much. As you can see, Michigan beat them pretty handily. So, if I found out anything that game, I found out that Michigan's a pretty good ball club. I saw SMU, Louisville. SMU had hung tight with a couple of really good teams in the ACC, so I thought, you know what, 9.5 points, they can do that. Well, guess what? They couldn't do that. Louisville's a pretty good team, especially at home, beating them by 14. All right, learned my lesson there too. Have this one flipped. I should have fixed it, but Kansas was actually hosting BYU. BYU was coming in as one of the hotter teams, even though they had lost to Arizona. They played them really well. Actually, they had a chance to win that game. Kansas, I thought, may have been struggling a little bit. Well, guess what? I had it totally wrong. Kansas beat them pretty good. BYU made a little run at the end to make it 8, but I'm pretty sure Kansas had them by like 14, 15 points. The spread was 4.5. Yeah, they easily covered that. Then Gonzaga was hosting St. Mary's, and I thought, well, since I have heard of St. Mary's, but I was going to say I've never heard of those guys. I thought Gonzaga could beat them pretty good. It was a 9.5 point spread, and they beat them by 8 points. Oh, my gosh. Talk about learning lessons in these games. Actually, the biggest lesson probably like, hey, don't bet any money. But that's besides the point there. It was actually a pretty interesting game. Gonzaga had them beat pretty easily, but then at the end, St. Mary scores a few points, cuts the lead down to under the point spread. It makes you wonder, like, did they know? Maybe their coach had some money on the point spread? I don't know. And then we close out the weekend on Sunday with Nebraska and Illinois. Nebraska only had one loss. They had lost to Michigan State. They're at home against Illinois. And I thought, yeah, Nebraska can cover 1.5 points. Jeez, Illinois showed up, man. They showed up, beat them by 9, and they were winning, I'm pretty sure, like the entire second half. So, learned some valuable lessons that we're going to take into this next one. So, if you look at, these are tomorrow's games. So, here's the crazy part that I'm finding out, is that you don't get the point spread to these games until the day before. So, on Sunday I looked at some games and I thought, okay, which ones do I want to look at for this week? And, I could look at some of these, but there was no point spread. So I said, okay, let's wait on those. So now we got these here. I got the point spread on them. So let's take a look at them. So first game, Iowa versus Washington. Iowa 16-5. They're 6-4 in the Big Ten, playing the Huskies 12-10. 4-7 in the Big Ten. That says, okay, Iowa's the better team. Iowa's won 2 of the last 3. Oh, sorry. Washington's won 2 of the last 3, but they're only 4-7 in conference play. Both the teams give up about 78. They score 78 points per game. I promise I'm going to get this together. But here's the thing. Iowa only gives up 63, so their defense is actually better. Iowa's on a 4-game win streak right now, which is really good. And so for all those numbers, mostly for the defense, I'm going Iowa to cover the 2.5 point spread. So if we go to the next game here, we got BYU going to Oklahoma State. You don't think of those guys as a basketball powerhouse. I guess at one point they were pretty good, but so when you look at this, at their records, which I'm going to pull up here, BYU actually is the better team, right? They have the better record. They are the favorite 6.5 points, and they do score points. So I see the 169 and a half over under. BYU is actually coming as the number 16 team in the nation. They're 17-4, 5-3 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State's not too bad. They're 15-6, 3-5 in the Big 12, and I actually watched that they beat Utah at Utah pretty good there. So I thought, they did pretty good. But because, let's see, BYU, they actually, both the teams score 86 points per game. BYU gives up 71 points per game. OSU's had some really tough losses at home. So I'm not against, one was against TCU, one was against Baylor, which are not very good teams. So because of that, I got to do this here right. I'm going BYU 6.5 points. They probably do that, but I'm just going to go the money line. I would just bet BYU to win the game. Probably a safe bet right there. So now we look at Northwestern traveling to Illinois. Illinois is actually doing really well. So Illinois is the number 5 team in the nation. They're 19-3, 10-1 in the Big Ten. Illinois just went to Nebraska and beat Nebraska, who had only one loss at the time. So they're looking pretty impressive. Northwestern, not so much. Illinois had some, let's see, Northwestern. So, sorry, Illinois scores 84 points per game. They only give up 68. So, because of that, and Northwestern, they're hit and miss. They win some, they lose some. Illinois should cover this one. So, we got Illinois to cover the 15.5 points. So, yeah, make sure to take out that second mortgage, put your money on all of this stuff here. So now we got A&M. So, this is the first time I'm watching A&M play. And they're playing Alabama. So A&M comes in as the underdog. I mean, Alabama's a 7.5 point favorite, and I know why, because it's a home team, right? It seems like they give the home teams, a lot of cushion there, especially if they. But Alabama has a worse record. They're 14-7. A&M is 17-4, and A&M is 7-1 in the SEC. Alabama is 4-4 in conference play. Michigan, I say Michigan, A&M has won the last 4 games, and Alabama has lost 2 of the last 3 games. So because of that, we got our first dog. We're going A&M to cover the 7.5 points, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if A&M actually wins this game. Last game we're going to look at is Michigan State versus Minnesota. So Michigan State, like we talked about earlier, coming off a tough home loss against Michigan, but they're still 19-3 and 9-2 in the Big Ten. Whereas Minnesota, they're only 3-8 in the Big Ten, so they're struggling there. Let's see, Minnesota's lost 7 in a row. Even though they're 9-3 at home, they're still struggling recently, and they're not doing too well in conference play. And because Michigan State, I'm pretty sure says, you know what, we got to bounce back from this Michigan loss. I'm going Michigan to cover the 6.5 points. Even though they're on the road, I think it's going to work out that way for them. So I say those are your picks right there. We're going to look at next, probably on the weekend, we'll look to see how did we do. But I also want to put out one because we're going to have some really good games coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'd like to put out another show that talks about those games because sneaking in there is going to be a Duke, North Carolina game that I think we need to talk about for sure. So if you're watching, make sure to like and subscribe to the video. I appreciate you guys there. These are the picks for Wednesday. So hopefully those work out for you. And we look forward to talking to you on another time. Peace.